Sun Wu, known as Sun Tzu, was a military strategist from the Chai state, whose reputation reached King Ho Lu of Wu. The king, intrigued by Sun Tzu's art of war, challenged him to demonstrate his theories. This is their first-hand account of Sun Tzu's brutal test of discipline. Listen close. 13 chapters, written 2,500 years ago. They still shape every army on Earth. And to prove they worked, a king handed this man 180 palace women, 2 of them his favorite concubines. By the end of the morning, 2 heads would roll on the stones. This is not a history lesson. This is Sun Tzu's own test of discipline.
I had written my 13 chapters long before the king ever summoned me. When a man has watched enough wars, he learns that the words come easy. It is the obedience that is dear. The king said to me, "I have carefully read your 13 chapters. May I submit your theory of managing soldiers to a slight test?" And I answered him simply, "You may." Then he asked me a stranger thing. "May the test be applied to women?" I have learned never to refuse a king his curiosity. I told him yes, so they brought 180 ladies out of the palace. I divided them into 2 companies, and over each I placed one of the king's most beloved concubines. I bade them all take spears in their hands, and then I spoke to them as I would speak to any soldier, for in the moment of command there is no difference between them. I asked them, "Do you know the difference between front and back, between your right hand and your left?" They told me, yes. They were laughing already behind their eyes, so I explained. When I say eyes front, look straight ahead. When I say left turn, face your left hand. Right turn, your right. About turn, face full round toward your back. Again they agreed. The commands were clear. I set up the halberds and the battle axes, all in their proper order, and to the sound of the drums I gave the order. Right turn, and the girls only burst out laughing. I did not raise my voice. I did not move. I told them this. If the words of command are not clear, if the orders are not understood, then the fault belongs to the general, to me. And so I drilled them again. This time I gave the order, left turn, and once more they fell into fits of laughter. Then I spoke the words that sealed it. If the orders are not clear, the general is to blame. But if his orders are clear, and the soldiers still disobey, then the fault lies with their officers. And the officers of these 2 companies were the king's 2 favorite concubines. So I gave the order. The leaders of the 2 companies are to be beheaded. Now the king had been watching from the top of his raised pavilion. When he saw that his favorites were to die, he was greatly alarmed, and he sent down a messenger in haste. The message was this: "We are now quite satisfied of our general's ability to handle troops. If we lose these 2 concubines, our meat and drink will lose their savor. It is our wish that they not be beheaded." And here, every man who would lead must choose. I answered the king's own messenger. Having once received His Majesty's commission to be general of his forces, there are certain commands of His Majesty which, acting in that capacity, I am unable to accept. And so I had the 2 leaders beheaded. I installed at once the 2 women next in rank, as the new leaders in their place. Then the drum was sounded again, and this time the girls went through every movement, turning right, turning left, marching forward, wheeling back, kneeling, standing, with perfect accuracy, with perfect precision. Not one of them daring to make a sound. Fear had done in a moment what laughter had mocked. Then I sent word to the king. Your soldiers, sire, are now drilled and disciplined, ready for your inspection. Command them through fire and water, and they will not disobey. But the king replied, Let our general cease drilling and return to camp. We have no wish to come down and inspect the troops. And so I said only this. The king is fond of words, but cannot turn them into deeds. Yet he was no fool, this king. He saw in time that I knew how to handle an army, and in the end, he made me his general. In the west, I broke the Chu state and forced my way into Ying, their capital. In the north, I put fear into the states of Qi and of Qin. My name spread among the feudal princes, and I shared in the might of the king. All of it, every campaign, began with 2 heads upon a palace floor. Men remember me for 13 chapters of words, but I learned the truest lesson myself that morning. A command obeyed is worth more than 1,000 words admired.
Sun Tzu never wrote of himself again after that morning. The histories lose him there. But his 13 chapters outlived his king, his kingdom, and 25 centuries of war. They are read today in academies on every continent. The man who would not spare 2 lives for a king's pleasure became the master every general has studied since. And his book is only one voice among many. There are more voices in the archive waiting to be read.